You're watching Morning News on Global Montreal.
Good morning, Montreal. It is Thursday, September 4th. I'm delighted to welcome Terry Cutler, Chief Technical Officer for Digital Locksmiths, into our studio today. Everyone, Terry, is talking about Messenger. Everyone seems to be, well, most people, not everyone. You seem pretty rational about it.
Everybody's messaging me.
To say, what's happening? Is this as bad as it? Yeah. If you have Facebook, inevitably you'll end up with the Messenger app.
That's right.
First, let's start with the rationale for it existing.
Okay, so Facebook separated the Messenger app so they can make it more convenient. It has much more features, and it's going to be a full-featured set of application. Mm-hmm. So the biggest problem is kind of around the permissions and the misconception of what it's trying to do. So on the Android device, you get prompted with everything that it's going to ask you for in advance. So it wants to know, it wants to have access to your camera, it wants to check your location, it wants to edit and modify your text messages, and it wants to be able to call anybody in your contact list whenever it wants. So that's what it prompts you up front. So you're looking at this and going, what? No. But what happens is...
It actually lists those things that... Okay, and you can't choose this you're allowed, this you're not when you have the Android.
Not up front. Eventually you can go back into the options and change them yourself, but it doesn't necessarily have a full effect. You can still access the components. The reason why it's asking this is because you're being prompted in advance to accept these permissions so that you don't get prompted every single time you want to use the app.
Right.
Whereas on iPhone, you install it and you don't get any questions other than it wants to send you push notification and it wants to know your location. Okay, fine. But the moment you go in to try to take a picture with it, it says the Facebook Messenger app would like to use your camera roll. Mm-hmm. And that's where you can say allow or don't allow. So on the iPhone, it's much more intuitive. So Android is actually working on making these permissions a bit more granular so people don't freak out as much.
Right. Okay, so you said to explain what it's trying to do. What is it trying to do? I mean, should it be trying to do anything in the first place?
All right. So, for example, let's look at one of the features that people are concerned about. It can call anybody in my list anytime it wants. So what you're actually telling Facebook app is that whenever you click on the contacts, it's going to look at everybody in your contact list that has a Facebook phone number in it. And it can actually call that person whenever you want to. It's not going to call it on its own. So it's not like you're sleeping and then all of a sudden your phone wakes up and starts calling people.
Yeah.
Because even if it tried to, it would prompt you to push call. So it's not like it can just do it on its own.
Okay.
So it's not as concerning as people would think.
Okay, edit messages, and it monitors and edits them. It doesn't actually, if I send a note to my wife, you know, I love you, dear, it's not going to change the...
No. If you're using the outside of the Messenger app, it's not going to be looking at that. But if you're using it inside the app, it has to know that you're sending and receiving messages to people in your Facebook list. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
the camera, only when you take a picture?
That's right, only. It's not going to take pictures of you and monitor you when you're sleeping. So it's basically when the app is active, that's when it uses these components. Mm-hmm. And you kind of like you accept the terms and conditions up front. Otherwise you'll be prompted every single time you want to use this app.
Can it download files whenever it wants?
No.
Okay.
So and it's the same for the updates. I mean, it'll prompt you that there's a new update coming out. But when I was talking to my developer here at Digital Locksmith, who builds our mobile apps, I asked him technically, can it be done? And the answer is yes. But if Facebook was actually doing this, the security community would actually catch them and say, what are you guys doing? And they'd be...
Well, what's the security community saying about this Messenger? It's saying it's all fine. Really, you have more control than you think you do as a consumer?
Right. That's right. It's a whole misunderstanding of the terms, of the permissions up front. It's not labeled, it's not granular, it's not intuitive.
Okay, and what about, you mentioned Android, you mentioned the iPhone, what about on desktops, what about on other devices, other platforms? Are there any different concerns and issues?
So here's one thing that people didn't realize is that when you install the main Facebook app, you're actually giving away the exact same permissions as the Facebook Messenger. So if Facebook wants to know stuff about you, they can get it other ways because like other apps like Snapchat and Viber use the exact same permissions.
Mm-hmm. But you're not forced to.
Correct. So the only thing I can think of is if they're taking stuff from our phone, it would be, let's say, an application inventory. So it knows what kind of interests you have. So next thing when you're on Facebook, you get like a Facebook ad for the new Angry Birds, mm-hmm. or a new similar competitor. Mm-hmm. So.
I've talked to other people about Messenger, some who know about computers, some who know less, but a lot of people seem to say, and I think you're going to say the same thing, is the real issue is passwords, is protection.
Yeah. There's a lot of process. I mean, we talked about the celebrities.
The nude photos that were,
Yeah. So one thing about passwords is they suck, right? We don't want passwords. So, but we're stuck with them. The other option is to install what's called two-step verification. It's where you set this up and it sends a text message to your phone in conjunction with the password you have. So without those two combinations, nobody can get into your system.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So what do you say to people who are still concerned about Messenger today, right now, this morning?
Keep calm. Everything is still fine.
Everything is still fine, and go into your permissions, I guess,
and start removing stuff if you'd like. But keep in mind, you know, if you remove these features like the camera roll, you just won't be able to take pictures and stuff and upload them to your friends unless you have that option enabled.
Okay, it's not as bad as everyone says. Remain calm, as Terry says. Terry Cutler, yeah, keep calm. And use your permissions. That should be a T-shirt.
Exactly.
Terry Cutler of Digital Locksmith, thank you very much for speaking with us this morning.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
7:49 in health news, actress Angelina Jolie is influencing a lot of Canadian women to take action against breast cancer. We have a report coming up. Stay with us.